There's a young lady who going to come up here now and talk to you about some very inspiring stuff. When I first met her, I was very impressed when she spoke to me. We got into a conversation. I think it was at BMX. Am I right? Yes, it was at BMX. And, you know, the whole concept of books are tremendous, really, is about personal development. And we got into a really interesting conversation. And I found a young lady who have a passion to help people to rise a little bit higher. And I invited her this afternoon to come and share a little bit of her life story with you. Her name is Yvette Maynard, and she is the, hope we get it right, CEO, Managing Director, whichever one of those terms, of Future Quest Services. And I was told that she has 2 other businesses that she leads and manages. So without taking up too much of her time, give a warm welcome to Miss Yvette Maynard, ladies.
Thank you, Kenny. Good evening to each and every one of you. It is heartwarming to see so many ladies here this evening. I am really pleased to see all of you in one forum, listening to us other ladies as we share our experiences. Kenny has already introduced me. I am CEO of Future Quest Services, a public relations and marketing company. CEO of Eve's Creations. I manufacture 100% Barbadian souvenir gift baskets. I am broadcaster with Carrick Voice Radio and online radio station, and I am station manager of that same station. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I came from a large family. It was 8 of us. I beg your pardon?
You were saying there's more.
I would rather not bore you with the remainder. I came from a large family. I came from a family of 8. I grew up working really hard. I'm surprised I don't have any calluses in my hands. When we came home on evenings, we had to do some tremendous work before we got to our homework. I'm surprised that I got homework done. We had a father who was really strict. He would advocate that we work to upkeep ourselves. He had about a 1/4 acre of land about 5 minutes away from us, and he would never plant potatoes or yams. He would plant carrots and beans that wanted watering every evening. More than 30 years ago, there was no irrigation, so we had to carry these buckets of water to wet the beans and carrots every evening, and we had to do it before nightfall. And as we passed, the neighbors would say, my father was nicknamed Manola. The neighbors would say, "Dear Manola, making our children work so hard." And you started feeling sorry for yourself. I used to feel badly sometimes when I passed and the neighbors said, "You ain't gonna stop them children from working." And every evening we would down the road with these buckets of water until we thought we could stop. Then he started planting half in canes and half in the same beans and carrots, so half the chore was finished. Then have to wet the canes. But then we had to head the canes. Yeah, we had to step upon that ladder. We didn't have to tie them, but as they were bundled together, we had to step on the ladder, take them up on the lorry, and step back down and go again. I started my autobiography called Life Without Limits, and that is what I'm going to talk about this evening. Because I'm doing it for 2 reasons. I need to get my story out there, and I'm doing it for my children, especially my daughter. She's now 14. She's now back there somewhere. She's not going to want you to see her, but that's all right. But I am aiming for her to be the best that she can be, and I am aiming to set a positive life for her down the road. I want her to see that it is okay to work hard. It is okay to be challenged by other people, and you have to remember that as you go on, people will challenge you. People will try to put you down for whatever reason. There are people who will tell you you can't do something even though you know you can do it, and if they say it long enough, you tend to believe it. But you have to keep that foremost in your mind. My mother died when I was 19. 8 of us, my youngest sister was 9 at the time. And things really changed for us after my father died. About a year after my father died, my mother died, sorry. My father decided he didn't want children anymore. We were already here, 8 children, and he decided he didn't want children anymore. So he got up one Sunday morning. It was a Sunday like just like this morning, nice and bright. And he said, I want you all to leave. And I couldn't understand what he meant, even though I was maybe 20, 21. I was always bolder than the others, even though I was the third. So I got up to speak. I said, what do you mean? He said, I want y'all to leave my place. So I was like, so where are we going to go? We never came from an extended family where we had like a grandmother, and everybody was overseas, so it was just us. So after my mother had died, it was just my father and sisters and brothers. We could not figure out where we were going to go. My grandmother had just come back from England, and because we grew up not knowing her, we were not close. We knew she was our grandmother, a maternal grandmother at that, but we were not close because I probably met her when I was about 35. She was living in England all that time, and so that went with my aunt and my uncles as well. Anyway, we had to leave. My father was really serious, and he meant that we had to leave. So, and that's why I'm going to tell you now that the Bible must be fulfilled, because when we set about trying to figure out where we were going to go, we all went in twos, like those animals on Noah's Ark. We went in twos. Two of us went to my uncle's house. My father took the two youngest ones. My other two brothers went somewhere else, and it went like that. We were all split in twos. About 2 years after that, my brother decided, he was the older one, he decided that we needed to be together. So he rented a house, and then we all went together, and we moved on from there. I said all of that to say that hard work does not kill. It makes you a better person. I think as you are young and growing up, whatever happens in your life shapes you for your further life to come. I worked at Cable and Wireless, well, it was Bartel then, for 25 years. I was comfortable there, and I thought I would have retired there. I love my job. I love the people that I met there. We had a wonderful camaraderie. We had picnics, parties, name it. We had a really great, great camaraderie in that department. I got comfortable because I was taught as a child to be contented with what I had. You never ask for more. Whatever was given to you, take, and don't voice your opinion, don't say anything. So I came up in that environment. So for me to have a job I was comfortable with, that was it for me. I wasn't looking for anything else. I was content where I was. Then one day they started offering packages, and I didn't even blink. The second one came along, and I wasn't even concerned. I was going to retire there. But then the third one came along, and it was really attractive, and I gave it some thought, and I said to myself, maybe I should take it. But I had no plans. I did not know what I would do if I left Cable and Wireless. But I didn't even pray about it. It's strange. I don't pray for things. You know, like how people would pray for a car and pray for a house. I don't pray for things. I talk to God. And I said, Lord, I don't even know if I'm making the right decision. And the truth is, I did not even wait for an answer from him. I went to work the next day, and I told him, yes, I want to leave. It took them about 2 years to let me go, but yes, it took about 2 years for them to let me go, because I would ask every few months, did y'all forget me? Did y'all forget me? They would say, no, no, but we don't really want you to go. And after I passed it on for a while, it took about 2 years, and they let me go. I'm saying all that to say that I did not know what was going to happen next. I had made no plans, but I knew that I wanted to move on. Even though I was comfortable, something kept telling me it was time for me to move on. The first thing I knew is that I was going to take a much-deserved holiday, because whenever I go overseas, I shop till I drop for 4 weeks, every day. That wasn't a holiday, but I enjoyed it. So I promised myself I'd take a holiday for 4 weeks, and I'd take my children to Disney. I took my children to Disney, so when I came back, the next step was to decide that I was going to stay home for a year. I stayed home for about 10 months, and then at the end of 10 months, don't worry, I was on board, but the money will run out. So I said to myself, well, it's time to start thinking about work. I applied for a job, and I got a job. I really wanted to work part-time. I was offered a position as admin assistant, and I went to this company to work for 4 years. 4 weeks, I'm sorry. A very temporary job. It's 3.5 years, and I'm still there. I said all that to say that as long as you move, something will happen. If I stayed at Bartel, I can't tell you what would have happened. Who knows? Maybe they would have sent me home with all the other people that they sent home sometime after that. But we need inspiration. We need somebody to be there for us, somebody to be able, and at that time I didn't have anybody who could give me an honest opinion, a very unbiased opinion. We need inspiration. We need somebody to be able to tell us, well, you're going right, you're going wrong, in my opinion this, in my opinion that. And let me give you a little story about inspiration. At that same Cable and Wireless, I had a friend who was over 6 feet tall. She was over 200 and something pounds, and she loved to eat. At that time I was a vegetarian, so I would always sit at her table, and she would have two of the largest lamb chops or two of the largest pieces of chicken. I've never seen drumsticks so big, but she would always get the largest pieces from the canteen. And I would tell her all the time, I would say, gee, you should only be eating one piece of chicken, and it always used to be fried chicken. If I said that to her, she would either give them that piece or take one piece and don't eat all two. If I didn't say anything, she would eat. So I would watch her. And I would nag her all the time. I would always sit at her table just to nag her about it. I left, about 4 years ago, and somebody called me about 2.5 years ago and told me that she was in the hospital and she had had a heart attack. I went to see her in the hospital, and she was hooked up to a lot of machines and all this beeping and stuff. So I said to her, how are you feeling, G? She said, I feel awful. I feel really ill. I said, what really happened? She said, I miss you nagging me. And I was hurt. I cried, and I'll tell you why I cried. I cried because she was in pain, and I cried because she forgot everything I told her. I thought that I was inspiring her to try to eat well, and she would do it when I was there, but then when I was gone, she forgot everything. But she's long since changed her diet, and she's watching what she eats. And every time I see her, she would say, girl, I'd never forget you. And we talk about it all the time, but we need inspiration. We really need inspiration. We need somebody to be there for us all the time. I know there's somebody out there for each and every one of you. You might or might not have found that person. And you don't need to go walking around asking somebody, you're my inspiration. No, you don't do that. They will come to you. They will, undoubtedly, you will know when that person is there for you. You will know when that person is your inspiration. That person will be able to tell you when you're right and when you're wrong, and be honest about it. They will be able to tell you, I am there for you, and mean that they're there for you. There are people who will come into your life because they see you're getting through and they want to hop on the bandwagon. There are other people who will come into your life supposedly to help you, and then as a little problem arises, they're gone. You need somebody who's going to be there for you 24/7, 365 days a year. I met a wonderful man called Aubrey Padmore, and I'll tell you how I met Aubrey, but Aubrey is my personal coach. He is my mentor. There's nothing that I cannot tell him. He's there for me. Aubrey saw things in me that I did not see in myself. He propels me every day to be even better than I can be. As long as he says something to me and it's a challenge, I remember that, you know what, I know that he's there to back me up regardless. One evening I was on the computer, and I normally do not chat on the net. I never really fancied it. But a friend of mine encouraged me to download Skype one evening, and she said to me, I'm going to show you how it works. So after I told her I got through downloading the Skype, we chatted for her to show me what it was like. And after I chatted with her, that was it. I never tried contacting anybody on Skype. But I just went home one evening, and I am always on WebMD. They call me the health freak. It's not really true, but I watch what I eat. I am always on WebMD checking this and checking that. And one evening, this person on Skype popped up in my face, and it was Aubrey. And he said, hi, Bajan. And I instinctively knew that was a Bajan saying that. And I said hi. We did a little chatting and exchanged little information and stuff. I got to find out that he was in Atlanta, and he was a Bajan, wanted to know what was going on in Barbados. You know how they are when they go overseas. They want to know everything. And we started chatting about Barbados, what was going on and all that. And we chatted for a while, and I found out that he had an online radio station called Carrot Voice Radio. He asked me about Barbados and what I thought it would be like to have the radio station here, and I gave him my opinion and stuff. Quickly, I began to detect a lot of things about the radio station. I became the tech girl in no time. I could monitor the sound. I could tell him there's a buzz on the line. I could tell him when somebody that he was interviewing's tone is too low, the other people wouldn't hear. I became the tech girl with no experience at all. And sometime after, he said to me, "Would you like to become a broadcaster?" I had never thought of it, but I said yes. It was a challenge, it was something new, and I know I'd be able to learn something. And I did my internship in Atlanta. And I'll tell you how I did my internship. We were in the studio, he got on the computer, he said, "Do this, do that." I watched him twice, "Do this, do that." And then he gave me a headset and said, "Okay, go on." Half an hour later, I didn't realize that I was doing it on my own and everybody had left me in the studio completely alone. And that's how I did it. That is exactly how I became a broadcaster. Then I started a show called Giving Birth in the Garden of Dreams. I interview small business people who need some exposure, who need a push. I would always advertise maybe like a week in advance, let people know that the interview is going to be on Friday nights between 7 and 8. And lots of people would log on and listen, give their opinion. And people got connections through the same interviews that I did. I said all of that to say that life has absolutely no limits, regardless of what you do, your emotional status, your spiritual, whatever it is, life has absolutely no limits at all. As long as you start to put limits on yourself, everything is going to go wrong. Everything will go wrong. You need to take the bull by the horns and run with it. And I urge each and every one of you out there with a dream, if you started your dream and you have not continued, pick it up. If you have not even started, start now. Because every day that you lose not pursuing your dream is another unfulfilled day for you, believe me. Every time that I do something and I see it to fruition, I feel good. Because I know I did it. And I know that was my dream, and I know that is what I set out to do. I have always wanted to be a journalist. I don't know, maybe because I like English. And I never even pursued journalism. But I edited Dr. Anita Davis Defoe's first novel called Tropical Escapes, which will be a bestseller, and which is going to be a movie filmed in Barbados. I was really honored that she asked me to edit the book, and I read that book so fast. I've never read a book so fast in my life. Even so that when I got to the second edit, I could tell you what was happening in that book, like I wrote the book myself. But I honestly really enjoyed it. It was a book with a lot of passion. It was set here in a Caribbean island, and it is something that all of you can relate to. I think that for you to pursue your dream, you need to trust God. You need to believe that He will help you. And I will tell you one thing that I know for sure. Anytime you go to God with a problem, you need to leave it there with Him. I'm speaking from experience because I have gone to God with a problem. I think He was taking too long to pick it up myself. You know what happened? Nothing happened. I could not figure out why I wasn't getting a result. I could not figure out that it wasn't my place to take it back up. I would go and take it back up. I said, "Oh shoot, I get impatient again." Bam, go and take it up. Then you realize what happened? Nothing is happening because it was not your place to take it up. Anytime you leave a problem with God, leave it there and forget it. He will deal with it, but in His time and in the time that He thinks is right for you. He will deal with it in His time, but in a time that's right. Let me give you a joke. A few months ago, somebody was persecuting me. I mean, really persecuting me. And I started getting frustrated. And I was talking to God. This wasn't like praying in the morning when you get up or praying at night. I was just talking, having this one-on-one. And I said, just jokingly, you know, as if you could joke with Him, right? I said, "Lord, I would really like half an hour to deal with this person." And I wasn't asking for half an hour to do anything nice, you know. A cup of tea and a plate of food. I wasn't asking for any half an hour to do anything that was really nice at all. And I had that chat with Him, and that was that. I honestly forgot it. Because things don't frustrate me for long, I get frustrated now. And it might bother me for the rest of the day. I wake up tomorrow morning, whether it's taken care of or not, I don't bother about it anymore. But like about a day and a half after I asked God for this half an hour, everything wonderful started happening for me. Everything that you can think about, the best things started happening for me. And you know what God was saying to me? He was saying, "I'm giving you half an hour, but not to do the things that you want to do. I'm giving you half an hour to be a better person, to do all the most wonderful things and forget about that person that's persecuting you." And if you trust God, you will never, ever go wrong. You will never go wrong. I find that like I said before, we tend to be really impatient. And if we would just forget, pray and forget. I don't, like I said before, I don't pray for anything. If I want a car, I don't go on my knees, or I don't drive, or I don't sit somewhere and say, Lord, I would like a car, help me get a car. I would call a few places, find out whose interest rates are the best, put measures in place to get the car, and instinctively, as soon as I start to help myself, everything falls into place. Everything falls into place. I have never wanted for anything and I didn't get it, and I'm being honest. I might not get it in the time that I want it, but I have always gotten what I wanted. Always. I don't pray any more than anybody else. Sometimes I fall asleep praying at night. I wish that I don't die in the night and not complete that prayer. That's the truth. I am not one of these persons who take long to fall asleep. So before I get there, I am sleeping. So I need to start saying my prayers on my feet, that I get to say them most of the time. Because like I tell you, by the time my head hits the pillow, I am gone. But you need to be able to pray, and pray without ceasing. Be earnest. Don't let people try to derail you from what you believe is true, what you want for yourself. There are people out there, like I told you before, there are people out there who will always tell you you can't do this and you can't do that. I've had a lot of people in my life like that. I'm not lying to you. There are people who will tell you, everybody else doing that, you want to do that too? Or you can't do it. As long as you believe that you can do it, you will. And because of my accomplishments, especially over the last 12 months, I can tell you that life has no limits whatsoever. Absolutely no limits. You just need to believe that you can do something and get up and do it. Sometimes I wonder how I